All right, guys, we're moving into absolutism in Asia here. And the first stop, we're going to talk about one of my favorites here, good old Akbar the Great. And the Mughal dynasty come to India as descendants of the war leader that left a wake of pestilence, death, and destruction, and that is Tamerlane. And situated in northern Italy comes the Great Mughal Dynasty, established in 1526, pretty early on, a little bit earlier than most of the absolute monarchies we're talking about in Europe. And for a small time, the Great Mughal Dynasty was able to unify and end the political and the religious and the ethnic fragmentation that plagued the great subcontinent of India. And of all the great Mughal rulers, it was Akbar the Great who is probably the most outstanding. And he will reign from a good 50 years, from 1556 to 1605. And in his heyday, Akbar, if he was not just as powerful, if not even more so than any of his other contemporaries. And what makes Akbar so special, especially much different than Louis XIV revoking the Edict of Nantes, of Peter the Great controlling the church, and even Henry VIII and the Stuart family of England and Philip II of Spain, is Akbar's tolerance. And he was a successful conqueror. He expands India's size, but he was most known for how he ran his government. He told his people he wanted to provide them good, honest, and powerful government. That is what he wanted his legacy to focus on. And Akbar is a strong central monarch. He not only recreates his own powerful central monarchy, but he also is going to redo the government and the provinces as well. So the first thing he does is that Akbar orders a census and a land survey. Just like everybody else, he said those who consume more resources should have to pay a little more resources. If you have a very profitable area compared to someone who's poor, you're going to have to pay up. And here is where Akbar is special. He removed a special tax on non-believers, meaning that, Muslims didn't have to pay taxes, but Christians and Jews and everybody else did. Now he says we're all equal. Why should one group have to pay more than the others? This was done, he felt, to help unify his empire. He also marries a native princess and appoints well-known Hindus to high governmental positions. Of his small circle, his small ministries, 2 of the 4 are Hindus. And what he is most well known for is gathering Buddhist monks and Christian priests and Islamic imam and ulama and Hindu priests. And he says, let's look at what we have in common rather than what divides us so much. Apparently this Mahariva, this Hinduism, says don't lie, don't steal, don't kill. Well, that's just like the 10 Commandments. And Jesus in this Sermon on the Mount, and love your enemies. And, Buddha has this thing, right thought, right speech, right action. And this Confucian guy says, let's lead by example. All of it is similar in all of these religions. So let's focus on what we have in common rather than what divides us so much. And Akbar, is this golden age of India, religious tolerance, learning from each other. And India is not only trading on the Indian Ocean, but also overland on the Silk Road, and they are extremely powerful and wealthy. Unfortunately, Akbar is one of these great men of vision. Out of all the absolute monarchs we've talked about, he's the one that got it the most. Religious tolerance. Let's work together. Unfortunately, Many of his ideas die with him. Now that's a commonality he has with all the other absolutists. When they die, their reforms go with them. But he had that idea of toleration. And his reign was the absolute golden age of the empire. None of his idiot successors were able to sustain what he started. Sustaining a massive empire the size of India, with its diversity, ethnically, linguistically, and religiously, takes a lot of forward and creative thinking. Now, while his descendants, especially Shah Jahan, were incredibly wealthy, they blow all of the Mughal money on large building projects. They get into several wars of expansion that will erode their power base, and they withdraw some of Akbar's tolerant reforms, which causes a refracturing in the society, and they give permission for the British to build trading posts on the coast of India, and the British will instigate wars between Hindu and Muslim Indians and slowly increase their control over the country. And the last emperor, who for a time was the richest man in the world, a guy named Shah Jahan, not only does he lose several wars, but he starts to build the Taj Mahal as a mausoleum for his wife, and he builds one for himself that didn't get finished on the other side of the river, completely bankrupting the empire. So the vibrant and beautiful Mughal dynasty only lasts a very short time. One of the three great gunpowder empires, the Mughal, the Ottoman, and the Safavids. And the Ottomans is where we're headed next.